What up, fellow film fanatics? Welcome back to Hey, Have You Seen That Film? Today I am particularly excited to talk about this film, The Adventures of Don Juan, starring Errol Flynn, released in 1948. Errol Flynn, what a guy. That's just, what a guy. You know, side note, if you ever want to read about a very fascinating life, read Errol Flynn's autobiography, My Wicked, Wicked Ways. My goodness, that man has lived quite the life. I'm not even kidding you. Like, that is, reading it, it's like, whoa. It's an exciting and kind of what the heck kind of life. But we're not talking about books today, but check that book out. Errol Flynn. You know, 1948 was kind of the last year of his reign at his last year of popularity. He kind of started to dip at this point. It wasn't his last year of hits. He still had a few hits here and there before his death. But 1948 was the last kind of bigger year. He made Silver River, a western, and then he also came out with The Adventures of Don Juan, which is what we're going to be talking about today. The Adventures of Don Juan is one of my favorite Errol Flynn films. Previously, I've talked about The Seahawk, which is my favorite Errol Flynn film. The Adventures of Don Juan is it's a close second. It's a really good one that I really enjoy. And what I love so much about this film and swashbuckler films in general back then, something that I wish that were still made. I wish we still had swashbuckler films like we did back in the the 40s and 50s. But something I love about this film is there's the simple good versus evil. You know who the good guy is, you know who the bad guy is. And they kind of butt heads throughout the film. And then there's that, at the end of the movie, there's that final standoff between the two. You know is inevitable, and I can't say that word, but you know it's bound to happen. They're gonna finally draw swords, and one's gonna die. Before I delve into more of what I love about this film, I'll give you a bit of the plot. Errol Flynn plays Don Juan, this ladies' man, and he's notorious throughout all the land for his escapades. He's always getting into trouble with the ladies because it's just, in the beginning it turns out it's somebody's wife, which he doesn't know that, which in a way is very respectable about him, because when he finds out that she's married, he's like, oh, this is a problem. And then her husband comes home. Later on, he fakes to be somebody that he's not, and he comes across a woman that he actually confessed his love to in a different land, a different country, so many summers ago. So he's notorious for his escapades with women, and it finally gets him in trouble with the woman that he pretends to be somebody. She knows who he actually is, and he gets arrested. And anyways, he goes back to his homeland, where he finds that the people are being terrorized by the king's guards, and he doesn't stand for that. And so he takes out some of the king's guards. Okay, I say takes out. He fights them. He doesn't kill any of them. And when the people find out that Don Juan is back, they get all excited, and the next day he meets the king and the queen, and kind of the king's right-hand man, who is our villain. And the queen hires him because he has a letter from a friend of hers. And she's like, okay, you get one shot, and if you screw this up, I'm done. I don't want it. Because she doesn't like him. She knows of his reputation. She doesn't want anything to do with him. So while he's working for the king and queen, he's the headmaster, the sword headmaster, and teaching all the new recruits how to fight. The villain has his side plot of where he's trying to dethrone the king and take the crown for himself, and with that he'll take the queen, and it'll all be great for him. You know, typical bad guy stuff. And as I said, in the end, you know where it's leading, that these two are gonna clash swords and they're gonna fight. And one will win and one will die. And so and it's up to Don Juan to stop the villain from succeeding. So that is the plot of The Adventures of Don Juan. As I said, what's so great about it, and it's so great about many of these older films, is it's just a very simple good versus evil. I love the simplicity. Sometimes I love the complex of things, but simplicity is very nice. You're the good guy, you're the bad guy. What I also enjoy about these older films is the almost verbal jousting between the protagonist and the antagonist before they finally have a physical confrontation. You know, there's a few moments within this film where Errol Flynn and the villain, they have some confrontation with each other. One scene, the villain is giving Errol Flynn an opportunity to join his side before things go bad for him. And you know, I wish I could remember the exact wording, but there's a few little moments in there where Errol Flynn just gives some little jabs at him. You know, verbal jabs that really stick with him. And they're clever and they're smart, and that's what I enjoyed about part of this, is the dialogue. It was great dialogue, and you kind of just smile. You're like, yeah, you got him, Errol. You got him, Don Juan, and that's what I do at least. Another thing that I loved about this movie is I do love the sword fight. I mean, I loved it in older movies when there was a sword fight and they allowed you to actually see the sword fight. You were able to watch the whole thing. You know, movies nowadays, you can't always see everything that's going on. There's a lot of cuts, or there, you know, a lot of cuts, meaning that, you know, for 10 seconds we're seeing this sword fight play out, or this fight play out, and then we cut to some other scene, and me particularly, I'm like, hey, go back, I want to see what's that. I've been waiting for that. And so I like in the older movies, and particularly in this movie, where we get to see the whole sword fight play out, and we get to enjoy the skill of both the protagonist and the antagonist, and we get to watch as they show off what we've been waiting to see. And this sword fight provides what you want. You're on the edge of your seat, and you're enjoying every second of it. And I feel like we don't get that so much anymore like we used to, so I wish it was still a thing. What has to be mentioned about this film, you know, you can't not talk about The Adventures of Don Juan and not talk about the soundtrack, the score. If you were to look up the theme, you would automatically recognize it. It's a very popular, it's been played in other films, it's played in The Goonies, and so it's adventurous. Again, it's kind of like the Seahawk, where you just hear it and you're just like, yeah, and you wanna swing it on a rope and sword fight someone, and you hear it and you think, aha, adventure. At least I do. The music comes into my ears and it's just like, whew, my brain illuminates with adventure, and I want to jump around and fight somebody and save the day. But maybe you don't hear that, but I do. So the music is fantastic, and it really helps elevate some of the scenes in the movie, particularly the sword fight, and just the overall atmosphere of the film. So again, check out the soundtrack, it's great. And finally, what I loved about, well, there's a lot left about all their movies, but one thing in particular, again, I mentioned a few things, is the set. The sets in this movie, there's one set in particular, it's just this grand old, it's part of the castle, and it's just this grand staircase, and it's where the final sword fight takes place. And it's just so big and epic is just the best way to put it. I love that it was something that was designed for the film. It wasn't, or it could have been a real castle. I don't actually know, but it wasn't green screen. And don't get me wrong, green screen is cool. It's done a lot of great things for film. But this was, it was there. We were able to see this. It was real. They were fighting on it. There was no green screen, nothing. Like, this was a real deal set, and it was amazing. It truly was spectacular. And not even just that castle. There's a tavern. That's pretty cool. There's a dungeon. There's so many things within this that are just, to me, it adds to the movie. It adds to the realism of the movie, to be able to know that they are there. These things are, it's real. Not just green screen. And again, green screen isn't bad, it's cool, but I enjoyed movies back then for, you know, before green screen, you know, and you could tell sometimes when there was a screen behind them that they were using, but it was cool. And that's just the best way to put it. It was cool. It's awesome what they were able to do, what they were able to find and use. And I love that about this movie. And this really is just a fun-filled adventure film. If you like swashbuckler films, if you like Errol Flynn, if you like good versus evil and all that, then this is a great film for you. If you've seen The Seahawk and you've enjoyed that, or if you've seen other films of Errol Flynn, this is a great film, one that any Errol Flynn fan should watch. And so I recommend this, really though, to anybody. It's one that, you know, I enjoyed at the age of 24, was I? 24 when I first watched it. And I enjoyed it. I would have enjoyed it at 10 if I had seen it. You know, it's just a film that anyone of any age can enjoy. But enough of me building this film up. If you've seen this, leave a comment down below of your thoughts on it if you haven't seen it and would like to go check it out, and then share your thoughts as well. And I'd love to hear what you have to say. Again, this is a really good movie. I'd recommend it if you're in the mood for some swashbuckling fun. Thanks for watching this video. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, go ahead and check them out. If you haven't subscribed, click down on that button down below so you can hear more of my great reviews of potential films that you might have missed. Thanks for watching today, and I hope you have a wonderful time wherever you are. See you around.